Dragon Ball Super Superhero. I didn't screw it up this time. This movie really surprised me. I went into it without watching any trailers in order to not get my hopes up too high. I mean, what can I say? They introduced a lot of great stuff, but at the same time, Dragon Ball Super and the manga arc have made some pretty questionable decisions over the years. Yes, years. It doesn't seem that long ago since the hype of the surprise return of Dragon Ball. I'd like to go for the good and the bad at a later date. Well, as you can tell from the title, I didn't really need to play it safe. Superhero starts off with a really cool and nostalgic flashback of the Red Ribbon Army. The original Dragon Ball is the first thing I watched, and, well, I definitely recommend it. And then they also throw in a cheeky little Fighter Z canonization. Just like that. So basically they immediately clear my apprehension. Even though they said that Cell was defeated by Goku and others, which you all know wasn't really the case. That was Mr. Satan's win! I like how we spend the beginning of the movie with the human antagonist driving through traffic. We typically don't get to see relatively normal people doing relatively normal things. And it's quite interesting and funny to see the Z-Fighters from an outsider's possible perspective. They are a very odd bunch. And most people don't expect to see others flying through the air like a superhero. That was unavoidable. It was the most elegant way of describing it. A lot of stuff has happened in Dragon Ball, and if something happened, it happened. And what I'm trying to say is that Superhero not only acknowledges the past, but it makes really good use of it too. Still no launch though. It turns out that people do remember who King Piccolo is. You know, the guy that terrorized and took over Earth that one time? There was one big problem in this sequence. How do they know about Majin Buu? If you remember, they used the Dragon Balls to make everyone forget who Majin Buu is, in order for Buu to live a peaceful and normal life, which, as a big talking purple creature, typically would be impossible had it not been the fact that Hercule incidentally brainwashed the population. They love him too much to be prejudicial. On a related note, the Z-Fighters don't know the difference between robots and androids, which at this point, considering Android 17 and 18, just seems like them owning it. I remember that Z was criticized for the Z-Fighters being forgetful. Well, this one's for you, critics! The movie is full of surprises, and one thing that really surprised me was that Piccolo was one of the major focuses of it, and he had a lot of really cool scenes, and an only outfit that he should keep. He played a really huge role in this film, and was one of the people that was really worried about Dragon Ball Super's strong desire of keeping Goku and Vegeta in the spotlight for so long, leaving out other characters, especially non-Saiyans, and not building up any successors. I was satisfied. I mean, the main character's a grandfather, for Pete's sake. I was really worried that Goku and Vegeta were going to be the lead and most important characters, but instead they're barely in this. The only downside is that we don't get to see any Goku and Pan moments. They had such a wholesome dynamic at the end of Z, and I was really looking forward to seeing that again. I'll take the Piccolo and Pan scenes, they're within that realm. I was also worried that Gamma 1 and Gamma 2 would somehow be stronger than Saiyans with god powers. But yeah, without those two, I suppose them being a match for Piccolo and Gohan is still reasonable yet questionable. Speaking of questionable, Gohan just went for the same character arc for the third time. Yeah, he stopped training again. For a hard-working biological researcher, I was genuinely waiting for that reveal. He's really lazy and idiotic. First was a Buu saga where it became clear during the Dabura fight that he was weaker than his younger self. The second was Resurrection F, which was really... And this is the third time, and it doesn't make any sense. What's the likelihood another threat comes to Earth? Couldn't Goku and Vegeta handle it? I'm sorry, did Resurrection F not happen, or...? That was a situation where a threat came to Earth whilst Goku and Vegeta wasn't there, as they usually aren't. He didn't have a really good time of it, and it took everything to get their attention and help. Did you want that to happen again? How do you relapse so easily after the Mora saga? I also find it hard to believe that someone can forget how to sense energy. That's like forgetting how to snap your fingers. Except, I guess that's more essential. It does set up his glow-up, but it really does make it seem like Gohan has a serious problem that he may repeat. The plan to get him back in the groove was kind of messed up. It's a similar tactic that Vegeta used for Kappa, and even though the results are great, it still feels really wrong, because it is. So the supporting characters, as well as finding out what Gohan does for money, we find out that Videl just randomly stopped being interested in fighting to become a housewife. She teaches martial arts. It's already too late to fix everything weird about our new character, but at least Toriyama could do that. At least he did something. Bulma continues to be the most relevant human character and makes frequent appearances throughout the film. They even continue the joke of her making cosmetic wishes. She even made a wish to touch up her back, though judging from an earlier scene, it seemed like she already did that. Goten and Trunks finally went for a growth spurt, and they confirmed that Saiyans take longer to do that. Which is kind of odd, since this is coming from the same race that stays in their prime for many years. Their biology is dedicated to fighting, so you'd think they'd grow faster. Unfortunately, we don't get to see Teen Gotenks. Well, we did, but not in the way you'd expect. It was interesting to see them make use of a failed fusion. Good thing they didn't get the skinny one. But it's a shame not to see the proper Gotenks, and to add insult to injury, they do fuse again at the end, off screen. The movie made a lot of improvements, so it feels selfish to get too hung up on that. But what an actual troll! Krillin and 18 are also here, and Krillin makes some really unique and important contributions. They treated him well. Well, they as in Toriyama, not Bulma. It's only natural, they've been friends a long time. And Pan is what you get when you cross wholesomeness with badassery. If you've seen the anime, you may recall that Pan was able to fly as a baby, but she struggles here. You could class that previous event as filler, though since the manga and anime have their own canon, it can possibly chalk down to being a fluke. Though if it came so naturally, then why is it that very much not the case here? I mean, at the end of the day, Toriyama didn't write the anime, and at least he didn't give Pan Super Saiyan. We have the second return of the Red Ribbon Army doing what they do best, making insanely powerful androids and cyborgs somehow. This time without Jiro, because dead. Dr. Hedo is instead the one responsible. The Red Ribbon Army aren't nice guys, it's kind of their whole deal, but it's not Dr. Hedo's. And he's talked into taking out the protagonists, with them being portrayed as villains. The Z Fighters do look quite shady, but the world doesn't know how much good they've done. They're good people, though certain intellectual dictators seem to not be their direct concern, despite being the ones to bring them back. Okay, yeah, they're villains. Gamma 1 and Gamma 2 are the two artificial superheroes Hedo brings back to life, and thankfully they do have different and normal personalities, and they're not just duty-bound drones. They think they're the good guys, and I really like the idea of the Z-Fighters being cast as a group of mischievous invaders, trying to slowly take over Earth. It's funny and it leads to some interesting conflict. A certain other story has done that kind of thing before, but it's not the first thing, and doesn't stay the second thing. From armored skin to robot bees to robot superheroes, Dr. Hedo is a very creative, smart, and strange individual. Very for all of that. Normally I'd criticize the Big Bad as being more of the same, but it actually isn't more of the same. It was quite the subversion. Cellmax is the scariest Dragon Ball villain that we've ever had. It's just this giant monstrosity that wants to destroy everything, and it works well for the final act. And required a big team-up, which I felt was really well executed. No one was just there for no particular reason. And we have a next level Shoop-de-Whoop who's firing lots of lasers. So like I said before, Piccolo is a key character in this film. In fact, he's the most important character in this film. It would have been a disaster if he had not done all the things that he did, and he was rewarded for it. Toriyama finally rewards his favourite character! A beastly power-up to show just how far the nameless Namekian has come. They even threw in the ever-amazing and incredible reference. Yes, yes, yes. It's a win. It's great. Toriyama continues to show just how much he loves colours. They finally gave the man a job, researching in biology, and he's not just hopping from one conference to another like it's free. They finally gave Gohan relevancy in a way that Dragon Ball Z and beyond does best. A new form. And it's closest we'll ever get to Gohan Blanco in the canon. I'll admit, I was already spoiled. It's not easy to avoid transformation spoilers. In fact, I think I saw Orange Piccolo art, though I never would have thought they'd give him his own form. So now I have Gohan Beast, and I didn't get too much of a good look at it, as it was a spoiler, so I generally thought it was white, instead of grey. The hair, that is. If I had not known about this form, I would have made a joke about wanting to see Gohan Blanco in this film, and I almost would have gotten that non-serious wish granted. It is an awesome form, and it's got a beastly aura to it, both in the literal and figurative sense. It looks the part, and it definitely sounds the part. Kind of reminds me of Super Saiyan 3. Though at the same time, it is odd that potential leash somehow allows you to transform. Does that mean that even a human could transform into this state, or is this specific to this person? Gohan did used to have rage boost when he was a kid. This new form plus his appearance and the enemy was very much a nod to the Cell Saga. That is without too much rehashing and without anything illogical. If you know, you know. Even though I knew it was coming, the transformation was quite the spectacle. It was awe-inspiring. I even felt like giving it a sound ovation, which sounds really pathetic and I sound really easily impressed. Yes, I'm a Gohan fan, how'd you know? But it was great to experience, and like I said before, transformations are how you stay relevant in Dragon Ball Since Z, both in-universe and in merchandising. It's a cheap tactic, but I've come to accept it. Though, it wouldn't kill them to make some more interesting techniques. So, to wrap things up, Dragon Ball Super Superhero feels like a love letter to the fans. Goku and Vegeta aren't involved for something, Gohan and Piccolo finally get the love and respect they deserve, and we get to see End of Z ready Goten, Trunks, and Pan. The movie's filled with that special Dragon Ball humor and well-used references, and the villains aren't too bad themselves. Pun not intended. Also, Vegeta finally gets a win. I think they're making fun of us.